Welcome back to Maths with Mrs. J. This is my final video for a little while on ratio and rate. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about direct proportion. This actually leads us into learning about graphing straight lines. We say that y is in direct proportion to x if we can write y equals some constant times x. This here, we say y is in direct proportion to x. That's a Greek letter called alpha. If y equals some constant times x for some positive constant m, then we say that they are in direct proportion. Now, what logically you need to ask yourself is, if I double x, does y double? If I halve x, does y halve? If the answers to both those questions are yes, then it's in direct proportion. If you are able to write y equals some constant times x, then they are in direct proportion. Sorts of examples would be things like if you get paid, say, $15 an hour for a job, here's your hours worked, 1, 2, 3, etc. Well, after 1 hour, you've worked, you get $15. After 2 hours, you get $30, etc. 3 hours, $45. Of course, they will be in direct proportion. You work twice as many hours, you get twice as much money. Now, that doesn't always work because sometimes you can get extra pay once you get to a certain level of hours and all that sort of stuff and overtime, but forget about that just for a minute. In general, things like $1 per hour is a direct proportion example. A cost per kilo could be another example of direct proportion. If you're given something like this, there are two main ways you could work out whether they're in direct proportion. One way would be to plot those points on a graph, and if it looks like that, so something that goes up starting at the origin, then yes, it will be direct proportion. If it doesn't, then it won't be direct proportion. The other way is to say, work out each y value divided by each x value and see if they're a constant. Well, here, our first xy pair, 20 on 1 is 20. Our second xy pair, 40 on 2 is also 20. 60 on 3 is also 20, etc. Y in each case is 20 times our x value. So yes, they are in direct proportion because we can write y as some constant times x. In this example here, you could see if you were to plot it, three, 5, etc. What's going to happen here is that it's not going to come down to the origin. And if you check each time, 3 on 1 is 3, 5 on 2 is 2.5. Already we can see that the y value is not a constant times x. So no, those are not in direct proportion.